morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke with Reverend Kenichi Ito, today being Ahn Shi, and Thursday the 20th of May, or the 9th day of April in the 9th year of Chongluguk. So let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parent and True Parents. Kyombe. Paro. And let's recite our family pledge both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가정 멘세 2. 전인국 주인, 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 춘신, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 선자의 가정의 놀이를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 2. Our family, the owner of Chongluguk, pledges to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending the Heavenly Parent and True Parents. We pledge to perfect the dutiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and on earth by centering on true love. And I'd like to ask Catherine in New Zealand if she could offer the opening prayer. Thank you. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Let's pray. Good morning, our most beloved Heavenly Parents and our beloved true parents of heaven and earth and humankind. We greet you this morning, Ahn Shi, with our love and heart and gratitude always. We thank you so much for the love that you give to each one and the joy and happiness that you want to impart on each one, Heavenly Father. We thank you for this time that we can come together, and especially coming together for every morning, for morning devotions when we possibly can, to share and understand each other's hearts, even though we're separated by miles and miles apart. But when we can come together at this time each day, we can come to know each other's deepest heart and their love for you and love for one another. Heavenly Parents, we thank you for this. We thank our beloved True Mother, who has just invested so much at this time. She has in her mind the 7.8 billion people in this whole world to restore back to you. And she can't do this on her own. She needs each one of us to help her and support her and bring this about also. We thank you for this opportunity, and it's a great honor and a privilege that we can be here in these golden times with True Mother on this earth. Our True Father is working together in the spirit world and poured his heart and soul while he was here on this earth and is continuing to do this. We thank you again for this time. We look forward to hearing your word today through this Hundoke, and to make our hearts bigger and more clear. Thank you, and I offer this prayer in the name of our beloved True Parents' names, I pray. Arju.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So let's offer a warm welcome to Reverend Ito as he shares with us this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your participation for this morning. Okay. Today we share about what is a heavenly parents and the true parents idea or vision toward island nation around the world. Here in Oceania, we have almost many island nations except Australia and and only Australia, maybe continent, and all other nation is island nation. So we can see what was told to the island nation, what is the father's vision, and this is an inaugural founder's speech of inaugural conference of Federation of Island Nation for World Peace was held Tokyo, Japan, June 16, 1996. A little bit, more than, anyway, many years ago. But Father's vision is still the same, and we can see. But as this speech was done in Japan, so Father mentioned about many times about Japan, but not so much mentioned about Korea. But the importance is the role of Japan and the island nation, and finally connect to the Father nation, Korea. And the Father main issue of Father said is the island nation is the women, and the ocean and the island nation must be the women law, and the continent and the peninsula nation is feminine, masculine nation, masculine. So women nation must be united to the Father and the as a masculine nation. Yeah. Okay, let's see the Father's speech. Yes, this is Father's founder's speech. Father couldn't attend that conference, but Father was not allowed to enter Japan because of his court case in America. Japanese government doesn't allow Father to enter, and the Father only sent the speech. Yeah. This is prominent island nations leaders attended around the world, so his speech must be very meaningful, to influential to the worldwide for island nation. Honorable guests from around the world, ladies and gentlemen representing Japan who are gathered here to attend the World Convention of the Federation of Island Nations for World Peace. I am aware of your daily effort towards the realization of world peace, for which I am sincerely grateful. I realize that this gathering presents the opportunity to further mobilization our intellect and deepen our friendship and understanding so that we can have the coming 21st century as a brilliant era of peace. For me, there can be no greater joy than sharing our responsibility and mission and making an unwavering determination among ourselves for the realization of world peace through and wow. Allow me to begin, first of all, with my explanation of history and background of which I have come to propose before you, the establishment of an unfamiliar organization named the Federation of Island Nations for World Peace. History of civilization. When we look at the stream of development of civilization and human history, the ancient civilization which emerged in the river valleys passed to the Mediterranean Sea, including Greece, Rome, and the Iberian Peninsula. Then it developed through the European continent, including Germany and France, and bore fruits as a Judeo-Christian culture in the form of Atlantic civilization centering on Great Britain and island nation. How to just erase this one? Cannot see it. Sorry. Reverend John, how to erase this one?
It's okay. Don't worry.
I cannot see it. Past the westward and something else here.
We see the screen clearly. We don't see that you have something in front of it.
Okay.
I can
Continent
see.
And
It said afterwards civilization passed westward through the American continent, and presently we have the era of the Pacific Ocean. We can see that clearly.
okay, centered on Japan and island nation. This represents the expansion of a Judeo-Christian civilization into Asia. When we recognize this kind of movement of civilization, right, the island nation has been placed in the center of the heavenly fortune today. It's not Japan. As the conclusion of the 20th century, Japan has come to stand in the limelight of human history in God's providence. Therefore, Japan's current prosperity cannot be explained without considering her relationship to the Judeo-Christian providence of God. If Japan has a role in God's plan, our attention should be paid to the providential mission. And the purpose of God's providence is a world peace for all humankind. There can be no better hope for human society than if the island nations around the world get together here and commit themselves to the Federation of Nations for the creation of world peace. It is with the expectation that I established the Federation of Island Nations. I cannot but hope that the realization of world peace will come true as the island nation all over the world inherit the heavenly fortune which was given by God to Japan, and form a group of nations dedicating their collective will to the pursuit of the world peace. Just I try to share this is the Japanese traditional philosophy, for the ideal woman to be good wife and wise mother. Japan say Ryosai Kenbo philosophy. This means, that to be a good wife toward the husband and wise mother toward their children. This is a really important Japanese philosophy toward the women's education. And this is really symbolizing, characterizing Japanese women, and further dispatched many Japanese missionaries around the world, and even spouse of leaders. Characteristic of island nations. What are the characteristics of island nations? The Earth's surface consists of island and ocean. Science today explains that the birth of the first simplest life form took place in the realm of water, namely ocean. This tells us that the ocean plays the role of a mother to conceive and nurture life. In this way, if the ocean can be regarded as symbolizing feminine, then the land may be considered as symbolizing masculinity. Therefore, it can be said that island nations located in the ocean symbolize women, and the continental nation and the peninsular nation symbolize man. From a spiritual perspective, one might say that island nations have certain characteristics of women, such as objectivity, dependability, nourishingness, endurance, and receptivity. On the other hand, continental nations may be seen as mainly possessing such attribute as subjectivity, creativity, and provider. We see this is just how ocean provide benefit for the human life. We see the air we breathe, the ocean product over the half of the world oxygen and store 50 times more carbon dioxide than our atmosphere, and the climate regulation, 70% cover 70% of the Earth's surface. The ocean transport heat from the equator to the pole, regulation of climate and the weather pattern, and transportation, 76% of all U.S. trade involving some form of a marine transportation, recreation for the enjoy with some marine sports, etc. Also economy, $282 billion among the U.S. ocean economy produce the goods and service. Ocean-dependent business employ almost 3 million people. And in such a way, also medicine, food supply, ocean contribute so many for our human life, just like a mother. Importance of ocean currents in the human life. It include a storehouse of minerals, the sea as a source of food, drinking water, medicine from the sea, petroleum and the natural gas, the sea and the climate, and etc. Following this comparison, the position which an island nation should play can be described as identical with that which women feel in human society. Women get married and are traditionally expected to wholeheartedly love and serve their husband. That's like, Japanese ryosai, good wife. By receiving love from their spouse and giving birth to children, this is like a Kembo, like a wise mother. Women may shine and blossom through this dynamic relationship. As mothers, women have the important responsibility of nourishing their children, bringing them up and educating them. Likewise, we can say that island nations also have similar role to play. Looking at the history of God's providence of restoration or salvation, we see that there have always existed central nations and central religions which take responsibility for God's providence. For example, in the Old Testament age, Judaism, centering upon the Israelites, took responsibility for God's providence of salvation. In the New Testament age, the bearing of the responsibility as a Christianity centered on Christians in the Western world. The core of Judeo-Christian teachings, which have been guiding present civilization, is as follows. First, that there is a God, a creator. Secondly, that the first human ancestors fell from grace by committing sin. And the Messiah is needed for the salvation of sin. Thirdly, that the sinful history of humankind will inevitably come to an end. The necessary be viewed based on such a view of the providence of salvation or restoration. The people in the Old Testament age form their history centered on the expectation of the coming of the Savior. Likewise, in the New Testament age, Christians form their history centered on hope and faith that the second coming of the Lord will come as a true Father to liquidate their sins and realize the kingdom of God on earth. With the loving heart of a parent, God has been guiding history. In order to appreciate the providence of God, it is necessary to see history from His providence, which is an attempt to end the suffering of His children. In 1945, when World War II came to an end, world Christianity was at the extremely important point in the history of God's providence of salvation. Christian nations like Britain, the United States, and France were in the central position of the, I cannot see that time. In World Wars I and II, the three major Christian nations of Great Britain, the United States, and France fought for democracy as the center of the Allied nations. It was God's desire to see these three major Christian nations join their force to practice God's love in the service of mankind with a sacrificial and serving spirit to actualize world peace, without lapsing into the nationalistic idea centered on their countries. The end of World War II in 1945 saw the opportunity of providing lasting peace for mankind through the establishment of the United Nations. So we can see the the trend of how to come to the finally the Pacific Rim era. The expansion of communism, however, the historical reality was not the realization of world peace, but the expansion of communism and the numerous conflicts that have come with it, as well as the spiritual decline and the moral degradation of Christian nations, humankind which has endured the Cold War between the United States and the former Soviet Union for more than 40 years, is passing through a spiritual wilderness, which continue until the present time. For my part, I have traveled the world to reveal God's ideas and His providence in order to actualize the vision of world peace on the basis of God's original plan. To this end, I have established many international organizations, but the path is long, and there remains a lot of work for all of us to do. What is the ideal of God? It goes without saying that the original idea of God is to realize peaceful world. In such a world, there are no division or conflict. It is the one world filled with unity, harmony, and joy. The greatest and quickest means to this end is through true love. True love is a factor of unity and the origin of joy and happiness. That is why I would say that the prerequisite of peace is true love. Then, where does God's true love originate? The settlement place of true love is the family. If Adam and Eve had perfected themselves and established an ideal family through their marriage centered on God, true love would have been initiated there, and the family of true love would have become the basis which would produce global true peace. The reason why humankind is still unable to make true peace is because they are ignorant of true love. Why? The answer is, as mentioned in the Bible, humankind has separated from God since the fall of the first human ancestors, Adam and Eve, who established the first family without God's blessing. Peace has been absent from this world ever since. Instead, division, conflict, and struggles have come to rule this world. In this individual, the struggle between the mind and the body, the conflict between the husband and wife at the family level, and the struggle between the societies are accepted as normal everyday life. The loss of true love. It is my conviction that all human problems are caused by the fundamental loss of true love. The fall of humankind means the loss of true love. Consequently, Jesus came as the King of true love in order to restore the love which Adam and Eve had lost. By the same token, the Lord of Second Advent is coming in order to restore true love. That is a logical conclusion, seen from the view of the providence of salvation. My life until today and my quest for world peace has been concentrated on the point of how humankind can restore true love. When we look at the moral degradation of the world, we can think of how great God's sorrow must be. Watching this world decline breaks my heart and brings tears to my eyes. The harm of immorality and adultery, similar to the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, injured our youth as they tragically fall into the false and antecedent of so-called free sex. The greatest sorrow of God is to see mankind going down his path of irresponsible destruction. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce there is much hope. This optimism comes from the new and liberated role of women. Women are actively working around the world. Around the Japanese women are playing an important role. They are active in 160 nations, practicing the spirit of living for the sake of the world. This fills me with great joy. Women can save the world at this time of crisis. It's a time for us to stand up, respect, and recognize the power of women. Our father dispatched many Japanese missionaries to the world the couple of years before that speech. Delegate and honorable guests, I'd like to stand once again by essential thesis. You represent, for the most part, island and ocean nations. Island nations have in common the characteristic of women and mothers. Therefore, they should unite their force and cooperate so that they can fulfill their mission as a mother in front of humankind. Based on these reasons, I proposed and founded the Federation of Island Nations for World Peace. Looking back on human history, women have played a vital role in both a positive and negative sense. War to save civilization from destruction. In particular, Japanese women are playing an important role. They are active in 160 nations, practice the spirit of living for the sake of the world. This fills me with great joy. Women can save the world at this time of crisis. It's a time for us to stand up, respect, and recognize the power of women. So Father many times mentioned about the importance of women to speak about island nation and the ocean era. The role of women, according to the Bible, human history began with the tragic incident known as the fall of Adam and Eve. It is the matter of fact that we must all shoulder the responsibility for the act and resolve this issue. However, when we look at the passage in the Bible that Eve was the first to fall and begin the history of sin, we can see that the providence requires that an age must come in human history in which women will lead the way to redeem the fall of Eve. We can see that ideological trend in the 20th century, such as the movement of women seeking true liberation, indicates that women have begun to stand up for the sake of world peace. Because I know that such is the providence of God. In April 1992, I founded Women's Federation for World Peace with my wife. So Father established 1992, April 10, established Women's Federation. And the mother made many world tour for the inaugural conference of Women's Federation. Family Federation for World Peace. This movement of the Women's Federation for World Peace will develop into the movement of the Family Federation for World Peace in the near future, and all people may participate. By establishing true love in the family, it seeks to construct an ideal world, the kingdom of heaven on earth. The age of women is a worldwide trend of the 1990s and into the 21st century. We may say that love and cooperation and the spirit of resolution and harmony will fulfill a historical contribution toward world peace. This worldwide age of the women means that the age of island nation will bear the characteristics of women. In this way, the age of women and the age of island nation are intimately linked together. The time when women stand up for the world peace is a time when island nations should stand up for worldwide cooperation. Now is the opportunity for island and ocean nations to fulfill the glorious and historical mission of realization for world peace. Is there a mission of great glory than this? Yes, let us look back on the history of humankind in which women played the central role. There were courageous women who established testimonies based on an unbreakable faith in God. Without the presence of Abraham's wife, Sarah, Isaac's wife, Rebecca, or Jacob's wife, Rachel, there would be no history of the Spirit. Tamar, relying only on her absolute faith, risked her life to establish the lineage from which the Messiah later appeared. Like Tamar, Mary, the mother of Jesus, also showed her absolute faith before heaven in order to give birth to God's sacred lineage. The fall of Eve brought about death to humankind, and as a result, millions and millions suffered under the false law, false life, and false lineage. The path that Mary and Tamar took was a path to redeem the fall of Eve in an attempt to bring about true love, true life, and true lineage. Joan of Arc, French Jeanne d'Arc, at the tender age of 16, saved her country of France from the defeat which was brought to be inevitable. A 16-year-old maiden was about to exert the kind of power to save an entire nation. By looking at these few examples, we can see the mark of greatness throughout history by the dedication of these women with determination face. I was before, when I worked in Africa, passed to go to the France, and near the France, outside of France, there's the Rouen, where Jeanne of Arc, was, executed by fire. There is a church there. There's a restaurant there, I eat with my wife because there's a distant learning center there for my son, kids. After left Africa, they must study continually for French. And I felt really very sad feeling, very intensive feeling when Jeanne d'Arc passed away there. So this is a lady we can see there. This is the left one up is this is Sarah, Abraham's wife, and next Rebecca, and the third is Rachel, and down there's Tamar and Mary, and the right side and down is Jeanne d'Arc. When the Federation of Iron Nations ignite and spread through the virtue of service and dedication, the light of hope will burn brightly before the fruit of the humankind. Iron Nation must inevitably seek for the continent in the end. This is based on the same principle that the woman seeks a loving relationship with a man. This might be called the condition for the survival of Iron Nation. Thus, the various activity for world peace carried out in Iron Nation must inevitably bring a good influence on continental countries. So that Iron Nation who relate in our Oceania relate with Australian currency, the Australian nation, and also as a Micronesia is related to the United States. So they seek those continental nations, and all those nations, also Japan, also influences Pacific Ocean, and many also the Micronesia nation has many Japanese lineage, like present case and not. Father is Kawakami-san for Niigata, and Mary Not, the first lady, also come from the Nagasaki, or the Yamura-san. There's many, current president of Marshall Island, Mr. Kabua, it also come from Kudo-san, from the Kamakura, Japan. Confederation of Iron Nations ignite and spread through the virtue, service, and decline. I already read that. Conclusion. We strongly desire that age of 21st century become a new millennium, which is the brilliant dawn of the kingdom of heaven on earth, long awaited by humankind. The passionate such as the Federation for World Peace, the Interreligious Federation for World Peace, the Women's Federation for World Peace, the Youth Federation for World Peace, and the Student Federation for World Peace, I'm convinced will fulfill a crucial role for peace and harmony together with the Federation for Iron Nation. Ultimately, all of these organizations will bear fruit as the Family Federation for World Peace. This is because the final base for peace is a family, and there is no way to establish I can't see that. Sorry, I cannot see that. By throughout the carrying out the education of youth based on an ideal that transcends race, nation, and religion, the Family Federation for World Peace will be able to perfect an ideal family and attain the historical feat of a one world family in which people from an all corner of the world enjoy true and lasting peace. Your Federation of Island Nations will inevitably make the greatest contribution towards the highest objective of the Family Federation for World Peace. I'd like to conclude my message with gratitude toward everyone for the fact that the dream of a one world family based on the true love of God is approaching realization through the Federation of Island Nations. May God guide and bless you, your nation, and your family. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry, so I finished, but there's still the father's speech in the as peace-loving global citizen. The father mentioned about the importance of the ocean and the true alternative energy source is the ocean. Energy from the hydrogen and the sea represent the future of humanity. And Korea must become the champion steward of the Pacific Ocean. It must understand the will of Creator and manage its resource well. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Rev Kenichi. Thank
Sorry,
you.
many factual mistake.
No, it's all right. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate very much the presentation and explaining the real importance of women in this time. Everyone knows that women played a vital role, and it really, the thing that struck me was that Eve was the one that started the cycle of the fall by beginning the selfish relationship, but also the restoration of Eve. In the course of restoration, as we go sort of the reverse course, that the time of women, which is now, really means we are at the end of the human history. The restoration is right there to grasp, that the complete realization of Chongalguk is here, and Mother is leading us through this time. So it just makes me feel more appreciative to this time of women, that it really is represents the complete restoration, and that we can really enjoy a world of peace truly in our lifetimes. So thank you for presenting today, Rev Kenichi, and open it up to others who would like to make a comment. Yes, Greg Stone, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Rev Kenichi for bringing up that speech of Father, and I think it's something we really need to study to catch the role of our region of Oceania. It's one of the beautiful speeches Father talked about the role of island nations, and it's interesting you saw I think John Gordon was also there. That's the Australian Prime Minister, former Australian Prime Minister. I remember also some other VIPs that went there from Australia, as well, of course, the Marshall Islands current president, as Rev Kenichi said, but Jim Cameron was the Speaker of the House of the New South Wales Parliament, and he was helped to come by David Clark. His son Ross Cameron later became a Member of Parliament, Federal Member of Parliament, and also came to our events. I remember Jim Cameron, who passed away, but he went to that event and he just said how interesting Father's analysis of human history was and the role of island nations. but he was a conservative politician in the New South Wales Parliament who worked with Fred Nile and also David Clark for family values. Anyway, thank you, Reverend Ito. Beautiful speech. We need to study that more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, John.
Ah,
Sitting here.
okay, we got a few people. Go ahead, Seti, and then Mary, and then later Keitha. Go ahead.
Do you want to video? No. Yeah. So, yeah, I was at that KU Plaza time when this Federation of Island Nations took place, and actually Mike Moore, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, was also there. I think that's the highest New Zealand delegation ever brought, was during that particular KO Plaza rally, and I brought some people from Samoa at that time. We're helping Chihiro-san as national leader at that time, I'm just remembering the efforts of the Japanese sisters that came in the wake of WFWP launch, and that was an incredible time, and just the sacrifice of the sisters. I know when I was helping Chihiro-san in Samoa at that time, that was a time when Women's Federation really had a national prominence, and we were dealing with MPs and the Prime Minister of that time, the daughter-in-law of the Telesia Molio'o, who was the WFWP president at that time, she's just become an MP for the current possibly the new government that's coming into Samoa right now. So yeah, I'm just reflecting on that time, and also the real sacrifice of the Japanese sisters. I mean, there were sisters who stayed here for like almost 4 years, non-stop, and you know, I just take my hat off to those mothers who left their children and left their families and came to make foundations for Women's Federation in the island nation. I think there's some very important elements here about the nature of women and also the role of women, and I think, yeah, Women's Federation has a very key role in this time. So for Samoa Women's Federation, I'd really like it to see it, get back to those were the heydays, the powerful days of Women's Federation. So, but I think it really warrants, so I think the Japanese wife is, I guess, the model of the wife, the ideal wife that is called for. So some of these qualities that were touched upon by Reverend Ito and also the speech is, we really need to revisit that, and especially the culture. I always talk about the culture of true Eve, that really this is the time to find the culture of true Eve. We're well aware of the culture of fallen Eve and some of the, the women's liberation elements, which I still feel is very strong, which is the negative side of bringing the feminine aspect to the fore. But really we need to cultivate and even understand more what is the nature of true woman and true Eve. And we need to, propagate that through the pillars and whatever elements that we have in our movement. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much, Reverend Ito, for the presentation.
Thank you, Seti. Okay, go ahead, Mary.
Hi. I just would like to thank Reverend Ito. It was just, thank you very much. It's really an amazing speech. And a lot of what I wanted to say was about the Japanese sisters and how much they've contributed to the providence in every nation. And, you know, like even in the Caribbean and the South American nations, 120 Japanese sisters went to each of those nations. And but in New York, we were working with the Japanese sisters going to the churches, and many of them couldn't speak English, you know, just a few words. And it was just amazing how they opened up the hearts of the ministers. Yeah, like the ministers and the people we met responded to them through their love and their commitment to true parents, and was just absolutely amazing. And anyway, I just want to say that thank you, and thank you, Reverend Ito. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Go ahead, Keitha.
I think you misunderstood my body language. I wasn't, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, say something.
He's telling me to say something. Yes, go women. Yeah, let's ignite the heart of women in Oceania. There you are. There's something.
Thank you. Thank you. We have time for a couple more. So,
Yeah, I can say something.
yes, Daniela, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I feel like this whole big journey, human history journey, is actually to be able to achieve true love, like Father says, right? So it's for human beings to be able to, yeah, reach that place where we can truly unconditionally love. And personally, I feel it's something that it really takes, you know, it takes such incredible, like, focus to be able to understand how to zoom in into that and to understand where we come from, our emotional journey, historical journey, as the central figures as well, next to true parents, but also how to then come back to the original place, to be able to free. I talk from my personal experience. I feel like it's almost like I have had this experience even like yesterday afternoon, like to really shed, you know, the clothes of the restoration role, like connecting to ancestors and try to become, you know, connected to true parents through this historical providence. But to even to go, still to go, like this is the time of completing the task, which is how do I truly become one with Heavenly Parents' heart, original heart, not the restoration heart, but original heart, and come to that place where I can truly be, not only embody unconditional love, but also be able to teach, like to teach my own children, you know, to be able to talk to them in a way that I'm actually truly efficient in bringing that unconditional love through my words, through the way I connect to their heart, through the way that I can really feel that substantial love is coming into, you know, the physical environment. So yeah, it's, I feel it is very exciting to see even like how providentially we coming to this time, you know, and it's like, yeah, new clothes or new wineskins. So, so it's exciting to share, to bring all our hearts and all the different, you know, the different role of all the, you know, the Judeo-Christian women's, like it's incredible to be able to connect to their heart and their suffering. And then the Pacific and all the incredible obedience and love and teamwork and unity of all the Japanese sisters. And obviously the Korean sisters had a role also in the providence in the Judeo, continued the Judeo-Christian, and then supporting, you know, the Lord and this, the only begotten daughter, that role as well. So it's quite mind-blowing, but it actually comes to show how each one of us has a role to play, and that substantiating individually. I think that's really my main focus right now. Yeah, and doing it together as a Holy Heavenly Parent Holy Community is just amazing. Yeah. So thank you so much, Reverend Nito. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And let's we come to the time when it's offer our unison prayer together. So let's take the opportunity to pray for the women, their role, and for Oceania to fulfill its responsibilities. I'll just share the screen. So let's begin. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, and see you next time.
Thank you today.
Bye. Have a good day. God bless.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yay. And happy birthday to Jeffrey.
Yeah, happy
Yes,
birthday,
happy
Jeffrey.
birthday, Uncle.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
One day
Happy
younger.
birthday.
Bye bye.